Like all children, when I was a boy, the one time of year that I looked forward to was Christmas. We dreamed of getting at least one of those toys that we saw beautifully displayed in the Sears Roebuck catalog, or order book as we called it. I wore out the pages of that book that had the Roy Rogers pearl handled toy guns on it, while my sisters salivated all over those pretty dolls and clothes they hoped Daddy would bring when he came home for Christmas. And we dreamed of getting apples and grapes in our Christmas stockings, the only time of year that we ever got them back then. We could imagine the sweet fragrance of apples wafting over the breeze from the little corner shop in our village. And of course, we tried to get into our mother's good grace, or best graces, I guess you would say, so that she would give us a couple of shillings to buy fire rackets. After all, what was Christmas without the sparklers and the boom boom of fireworks? And then when the cool northeast breeze began to blow, Christmas breeze we called it, we could feel Christmas coming. And before long, our mama was getting us working at raking up the sand from the yard and preparing the ground for fresh white sand, which we would get from Bosun Bay Beach in our own child-sized ground baskets. The moonlight was good to help us to see our way to and from the beach because we had no street lights in those days. And really, moonlit nights were the best for backing sand anyway. It was work, but it was also fun, with just about the whole village going to and from the beach and making little piles of sand in their front yards. And on Christmas Eve, we would spread out that sand and it looked like snow had fallen in Bosun Bay. Of course, here I can't forget our involvement in the church. We were poor back then, and were happy when the pastor of the church let our mother know that the mission box had come. Now that was a box of hand-me-down clothes, shoes, and toys that folks in America had sent to us down there in Northwest Point and Bosun Bay. If we were lucky, we would get something to fit us, which we were happy to have and happy to wear. Of course, there was no Roy Rogers pearl-handled guns in those boxes. And of course, thank God, they sent lots of candy. So that on Christmas Day, every one of us who went to Sunday school would return home with a brown paper bag full of candy. Folks who never darkened the door of the church during the year somehow managed to find it at Christmas. In the meantime, every mother worth her salt was drilling her children with all the recitations and songs that we had to learn for the Christmas program. The worst possible thing to be said about any one of us was that we went up on the platform with a piece of paper in our hand because we hadn't learned our parts by heart. Then, when it was time for the Christmas program, the church was filled, and we proudly, or under threat of flogging, went up and recited our poems or took part in the pantomimes or even sang a solo. My sister did, not me. I just listened to her because she was so short you could barely see her behind the altar rails. And I can't forget the Christmas caroling. We would all go to bed early, then get up around 9 o'clock and walk down to the church wearing our sweaters, of course. We would meet all the other families in their sweaters, naturally, and board the back of a truck and go throughout the district, stopping in front of the homes of people we knew and singing Christmas carols. Sometimes somebody would stick their heads outside the door and greet us, but most times we just sang and hoped that somebody was listening or wasn't mad at us for disturbing their sleep. And every now and then, sadly, as the truck bumped over the potholed roads, it would have to stop to let some man cross, taking his good time as he staggered from side to side under the influence of rum. Now, I suppose what I've been talking about is so foreign to some of you that you may conclude that I'm from some far-off, distant time. Well, I sort of feel that way about it myself. Things have changed so much. The apples have had their fragrance covered with wax. The mission boxes have stopped coming because we no longer would wear hand-me-downs. And we can't ride in the open back of trucks to carol anymore. That's against the law. And most houses, of course, all outfitted for air conditioning, are so soundproof that whatever is going on outside, they won't hear anyway. So the only persons to hear the carols are those who are singing them. And it's no longer legal to take all the sand you would need to spread out on your yard for Christmas. And when children are given poems to recite or songs to sing, they no longer memorize them, they just read them from their cell phones. But one thing has not changed. Christmas is still about the birth of Jesus. Christmas is still a time to celebrate the greatest gift ever given. God so loved us that He gave us His one and only Son, so that if we would fall in love with Him, we would have Christmas all year long. Merry Christmas and a very Christ-centered New Year.